feel a lot different. But LSU, when you watch that on Saturday, the defense is easy to blame because they are putrid. The game looks as if it's passed Bo Pelini by.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as if he has any answer for what's going on. You brought up Costello in Mississippi State. Could you fathom and think that they could look any worse than they did on opening day?
And what are the teams doing against them? They're rushing 3 and dropping 8. Exact thing that Chris Peterson did at Washington. The exact film that the LSU coaching staff decided to ignore.
But I'm saying from LSU's point of view, did you fathom that they could look any worse than they did 2 weeks ago?
No, and the Missouri game was actually worse.
And here you go 2 weeks later, and they look worse.
It looked worse.
They look like they have gotten more dysfunctional, more unorganized. The lack of communication and the ability to coach it from the sideline to the field here looks elementary. I mean, it looks as if – I mean, I watched elementary football yesterday.
Yeah.
And I saw, at least the ability for coaches to tell players on the field what they expect and a player to execute that. I mean, they don't tackle. They're not in the right spots. They don't give good effort. I don't know anything that I look at that I say that's fixable and they can improve.
So everything to me, I guess the only reason why I would maybe still hold out some sort of hope that some improvement can take place is that everything to me seems to start with the scheme. Quite simply. All the problems that you're alluding to, Jordy, I think all are born of mental confusion, right? When guys are thinking they aren't playing, mental confusion equals slow play. And right now, this is the most confused-looking defense I've ever seen in my life. And I think that Eli Drinkwood smelled blood in the water. He knows Pelini runs a more old-school system. He knows that it's a system that is predicated on everybody knowing exactly what to do and a system that wants to mirror what the offense does in terms of pre-snap movement and all these things, right? Like, they want to be able to shift responsibilities constantly on the fly. That's all well and good if people know what their responsibilities are. When people don't, then it becomes disastrous. And that's where you win is. Even the simplest of motions were causing LSU to go into full-blown panic conversational mode as they're trying to figure out who has who. I cannot tell you the amount of unset players that LSU had when Missouri was snapping the ball all night long. Guys still pointing at each other, talking to each other. Guys still standing up, not yet in their stance because they just figured out where to line up. Guys still peeking in the backfield, trying to figure out exactly who they have or where their responsibilities lie. And then Missouri, I mean, look, you saw that Ole Miss tempo. Missouri just gave you a dash of tempo. Just a little bit of speed. And that little bit of speed combined with that pre-snap movement, it looked like it caused, like LSU looked like one of the, you're watching a movie with a robot, and the robot just gets so confused that it like shakes and its head explodes. Like, that's what even the simplest of motions was doing to this LSU defense. And what that results in then is what you witnessed on Saturday. Nothing working. Nobody's ever in position. Nobody's playing downhill. The linebackers, and this is another damning thing. If you're Bo Pelini. Okay, Dave Aranda left that linebacker group. Look at how good LSU linebackers were under Dave Aranda. They were incredible. Look at the run of NFL guys that they went on. And now look at the linebacker group for LSU being the worst group on the field Saturday. I mean, just having no idea what to do, nobody reading correctly, nobody attacking gaps, instead being confused, passive, and catching blocks 5 yards down the field. When Missouri would run the ball, you weren't contacting them till 5 or 7 yards down the field. It's not like they were making moves or breaking tackles in the backfield. You were so passive that you weren't making contact. They were already halfway to a first down. So, no, it is the worst. There is no question it is the worst defensive game film I've ever watched in my entire life. And it is borderline unthinkable because that's the thing, right? How can you lead the SEC in turnover margin by a wide gap? How can you be third in the nation in turnover margin? How can you be top 10 in terms of penalty discipline, not committing penalties? How can you be that and have 2 losses to 1 and 2 teams that look like utter garbage? That is bizarre. That is unthinkable. And the only way that you can make sense of that is that the defense has been bizarrely and unthinkably bad. And as I said, there are definitely personnel issues, right? So, like, anytime you're unthinkably bad, anytime you're record-settingly bad, a lot of stuff has to go wrong. But right now, the staff and the scheme is not mitigating the issues. They're exacerbating them. They're making them worse. It is a disaster that LSU has to get fixed immediately, or they are staring they're staring 3-7, 4-6 in the face. Getting to 5-5 at this point would be an accomplishment.
No, I think it gets worse before it gets better. I mean, to think about that and say that out loud is scary, but I mean, it seems like, worse before it gets better. Here's Orgeron after the game expressing the confidence on the Pelini hire.
Well, I love Bo. I think Bo's going to be a great defensive coordinator. He's done it before, but we have to get better. And there's some things that we need to fix. We need to coach better. There's some things that we need to look at schematically, see where we can get better. And I know we will.
And look, man, as far as that, like, let's put ourselves in a leadership position, right? You're not going to come out and be like, this guy's terrible to me. You cannot do that. Now, you could maybe call for some more accountability. He's been more accountable with coaches he's been displeased with in the past, and I would be okay with that. But ultimately, you're not going to say anything there that's going to change anything, really. It might make us feel a little bit better just to hear him get a bit more angry. But I will say this. Right now, Bo Pelini is a ballast around Ed Orgeron's reputation's neck, and he is dragging them down with him. How's this for the headline from Ralph Russo's AP Top 25 Takeaways, a national article that's obviously written every week? The headline reads, Orgeron's star turn could be short-lived. They then opened talking about O's comments where he said the defense was better than at any point than it was last year. And then here's the closing paragraph. LSU had a once-in-a-lifetime season, and then the band basically broke up, leaving Orgeron behind to prove that if he could be more than anything but a one-hit wonder. His first big move was to bring in Pelini. His defense has now given up more points to the first 3 games in Indian LSU history. A year after beating Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney on the way to a national championship, Orgeron is conjuring up memories of a far less successful season at LSU. Heading into Florida next week to face the potent Gators offense, the Tigers are 1-2 for the first time since 1994, Curly Hallman's last season as a head coach. And so that is accompanied with LSU dropping out of the top 25. And so that's what I'm saying. So, look, you're not going to make a decision in season. I don't even think, even though it's been an unmitigated disaster, I still don't think you make a decision during the season. But at the end of the year, if you do not show, because he's cost you 2 games now, if he does not show drastic, and I mean drastic improvement, then you have to have a very serious Matt Canada conversation about the sunk cost fallacy. And is it time? Do we just have to bite the bullet here and drum up the funding, even though we're down millions and millions of dollars, and find a way to get out of this?
Burge Osbury from LSU Athletics next.